Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! Okay, so this is much different than it sounds. My cousin Millie, 30 female, is an emergency room nurse. Her birthday was a few days ago and we planned a birthday prank, which was leaving a fake snake on her cake. All fun and games because we do this every year to every family member. Well, apparently this year Millie didn't want it, so she was pretty pissed at the fact that we did it. Now, a few days ago while I was in school, I got a call from Millie during lunch. I thought it would be her saying she's picking me up. Well, no, it wasn't. Millie proceeded to tell me that my mother had passed away in a car accident, and my heart dropped. And I felt like puking. My mother and I don't have the best relationship, but I still love her. Millie began to tell me the details of the death and what exactly happened to the point I hung up on her and called my mother. My mom, who was supposedly at work as a nurse, did not pick up and I ended up running to the bathroom. I called my dad, bawling my eyes out and telling him what happened. He didn't understand what I was talking about because he talked to my mom right before I called. He made me explain everything and understandably he was pissed. He picked me up from school and called my mom in a car, just to prove that she was alive and okay. That night my aunt, not Millie's mom, called a meeting at her house and we all talked this out. They all were pretty much disgusted with Millie as she tried to justify her choices, but she did end up apologizing. But I got up and stated that I don't want to talk to her ever again. Now Millie is engaged, her wedding is coming up soon and I was supposed to be a flower girl, I'm 15, but they wanted me to be a part of it. So now I have pulled out of the wedding, which is what Millie is worried about. She doesn't want people to question where I am, and started to yell at me for being bitty. My dad took me home and I plucked Millie on everything. Her fiancé, who I'm close to because he and Millie took care of me when I was younger, ended up messaging me and asking me to come. I told him no, and what his fiancé did was just disgusting. He said while what Millie did was wrong for doing it at school, it was just a prank, and I blew up at him. She told me my mother was dead, freaking dead. Then I ended up yelling. He sounded generally confused and asked me what the hell I was talking about. I told him what happened, and it turns out Millie and her mother lied to him and said that Millie just sent a gory picture to me while I was at school. Next thing I knew is that he left to stay with his mother and apologized to me. I apologized to him because I did call him a jerk while I was yelling. And now I'm getting blamed for ruining Millie's relationship. I'm still not talking to her or her mother, but Reddit, am I in the wrong? Edit. For clarification, Millie knew that she was going to get pranked. She has participated in pranks in the past and has never said she hated it. We also asked her close friends and her fiancé if the fake snake was okay, which they gave us a yes and that it was fine. And now for some comments. Wait, you're 15? So a grown adult tells you your mom is dead in brutal details and that's funny? A snake on a cake is mild and nowhere near traumatizing unless you have an extreme phobia. Not in a wrong. You're not in a wrong. That is not a prank. That is a truly vindictive action to pull on a child. What I don't understand is why she targeted you in a prank. Was it your turn? Are you the youngest or the oldest? The fact both her and her mom lied to the fiancé shows they know exactly how wrong the prank was, and I'm amazed they thought you wouldn't tell him what actually happened. Not in a wrong. You don't own that breakup. Like you said, you're not privy to the workings of the relationship, but it's not far-fetched that Millie has done bad things in the past, and this was the final straw. Or even if that's not the case, what she did was horrendous. Had to be talked into apologizing, then lied to her fiancé about it. I'm sorry you went through this, good luck to you, and if the wedding goes forward, stay far away. My dad owned a successful business but has passed away. and I, 25 male, have inherited the business. The thing is, my stepfather works for me. My mother had an affair and cheated on my dad with his employee, stepdad. My stepfather has now been acting like the boss and trying to get away with things. He wouldn't do his work and he either came late or didn't show up at all, and I'm tired of this crap. Every time I try to talk to him about it, he always brushes me off. I'm tired of this blatant disrespect, and everyone at the company is as well. Well, yesterday he tried to fire an employee of mine when he was in no position to do so. To be honest, I am sick of him. And so are the workers. So I handed him a notice of termination personally and told him he had to go. He's mad at me, and so is my mother, and told me she was ashamed I was firing such a loyal employee. I almost laughed at that one, though it actually would have saved the company losing money from firing him. Am I in the wrong? P.S. I do have recordings of him in my chair acting like the boss with multiple witness employees. And now for some comments. You're not in the wrong. Well, you can definitely fire him for mistreating your other employees, like telling them that they are fired. You have to look out for them. The anger I personally feel reading this is immense. I unfortunately have a less than stellar stepdad myself, and as someone who feels your pain, I am so proud you fired this ridiculous individual. Just because someone is family, which I use super loosely, doesn't mean you keep them around. My mom used to always defend her husband too, until I threatened my mom that she wouldn't see her potential grandkids because I refused to have them interacting with a man who thinks it's 1953. You're not in the wrong. Do not rehire this fool. You're not in the wrong. If he's not doing his job, then he loses his job. That's the rule for pretty much everyone. He thought he could steamroll over you and act like the boss because he's married to your mother, but he was very, very wrong. I'm a software engineer with a full-time job and a side hustle of doing freelance coding work in my own time. I've always been the type to have a side hustle I put a lot of my free time into. I get really bored sitting idle. My freelance hourly rates are $60 an hour, and at my full job, my hourly pay works out to be around $40 an hour. So that's how I value my time. Anyway, over Christmas vacation I was staying at my parents' house. My cousin was also staying over with her 3 young kids from Christmas to New Year's. I've been planning on doing some work on my freelance projects when I had free time. In the mornings, when my family had no plans, I wasn't in any rush. I was already ahead of schedule on them all, but I didn't really have anything else to do. It was in a really rural area, and it's like an hour drive to the nearest anything. Then my cousin and her husband asked if I could babysit all day for 3 days, so they could visit some friends in the area and hang out with just adults. I said I had plans on doing freelance work at the library, and she offered to pay me to babysit. I said I could if they got close to my freelance rates. She wanted a number, and although my freelance rates are $60, I didn't feel like that was right. It was high, but I didn't want to go too low. Honestly, babysitting 3 kids would be harder for me than the routine coding work I had for my freelance projects. I don't know a lot about kids and I have never babysat for long, and I had a feeling it would be stressful and difficult. So I said $35 an hour, which is below what I make hourly at work, and what is a bare minimum I'd value my time for, if that time is spent doing difficult work. And she went crazy at me, saying that's a ridiculous rate for babysitting, that I was entitled and being selfish, that I'm trying to take advantage of how she didn't have other options, and so on. I said that's way below what I'd be making if I had the time to do my own work, and I'd be putting off my own work to babysit. Her husband then got mad at me saying that I was a 24-year-old girl, and that I'm near a child myself, that my time is not worth that much, and it is childish to say that it was, and that I was a stupid girl for not knowing that babysitting costs like $15 an hour. When I grow up and have kids of my own, I will see how stupid I was being. I was kind of done with being called stupid, so I just told them I hope they could find someone else. My mom thinks that I asked for something offensive, and my cousin and her husband obviously did too. So was I in a wrong for giving that number? And now for some comments. No, you're not in a wrong. 3 kids all day for 3 straight days? Even real babysitters would charge more than $15 for 3 kids. Obviously, they wanted you to do it as a favor and got upset that you treated it as an actual job. I babysit occasionally for a few families and my charge is $15 per hour per child. If I know the family well, I'll do $30 an hour no matter how many kids they have. No one has ever batted an eyelash at my rate. You're definitely not in a wrong, OP. Yeah, not in a wrong for sure. If they wanted to bank on using your time for 3 straight days like that, they should have reached out to you and arranged it ahead of time. Thinking they have a right to tell you how to value your own time or how to spend it because you're young is such complete nonsense. I, 23 female, was super close with this girl, 23 as well, all through middle school and high school. So about 5 years altogether, and we talked a little my freshman year of college before she kinda just faded away. Well, I recently was catching up with her after reading a post on my Facebook about her dropping out of college again. I wanted to offer her some support, and so I texted her. We started chatting and spoke a little bit about the engagement. And here is the thing. My future sister-in-law is going to be my matron of honor, with my fiance's brother-in-law and best friend being his best man. The sister-in-law and brother-in-law are married, so we thought it was cute, plus we're close with them. I'm also having one of my close friends from an old job to be a bridesmaid as well after she was sweet enough to accept. I don't have a lot of friends and don't want to include random people just to fill spaces, so these were the only 2 people I asked. Well, my old friend brought up how she was so excited and wanted to help me start planning for the wedding and throw me a bridal shower and bachelorette party. I mostly left it out and told her I honestly really wouldn't be having one, and I thought I'll just be getting a spa day with my bridal party and future mother-in-law is my bachelorette party instead. Think facials and then take out and movies in PJs because that sounds perfect. I still thanked her for the thought anyways. Then she brought the subject back up again, and she asked what style dress she should get. I told her she didn't have to worry about it at all and whatever she was comfortable in. We haven't even sent our invites or really made a solid guest list, so I wasn't even sure if I was inviting her at this point, but did not want to be rude. She kinda freaked out at this point because she said she didn't want to stand out in a bridal party. I texted back and let her know that she was not in my bridal party, and she freaked out, saying we had promised each other since middle school we'd be each other's maid of honors. I may be the jerk here because I told her that I wanted someone I was close to and had a connection with to be in my bridal party, and I didn't feel connected really with her anymore. Well, now she's not answering my texts and has blocked me on all social media. Her little sister texted me and called me a jerk for not wanting her in my party. So Reddit, am I in a wrong? And now for some comments. You're not in a wrong. Your wedding, your choice. Take some audacity to just assume you're included, let alone maid of honor. Best of luck with that one. You're not in the wrong. People grow apart doesn't mean there are bad feelings involved. It just happens. I'm not going on Facebook to look up an old friend and say, remember when we said that if we were 30 and single, we should get married? Well, I'm calling in that marker. That just sounds insane. You're not in the wrong. It sounds like she just finding out you're getting married and yet still is expecting to be not just in a party, but the maid of honor. I'm sorry, but it doesn't work like that. I think deep down you know that when you haven't talked in years. That being said, I do feel for her. It sounds like she's been going through a rough time, and would imagine she probably doesn't have a lot of stable friendship right now. I think it's an audacious assumption, but people in her shoes tend to make stupid assumptions. Regardless, you're totally not in a wrong, especially when she went nuclear on the reaction. Congratulations on your wedding! So, I-16 female found out a few months ago that I was adopted by my aunt because I was taken from my biological parents because of drug addiction. I should add that me and my aunt never got along together even though she raised me. We never got along because she's an entitled control freak. She always has to have a say in what I say or do. Well, anyways, after I found out about the adoption, I slowly started to call her but her first name instead of mom. I started calling her that because I never did think of her as a mother, and learning about being adopted just amped up those feelings. Well, she finally got onto this and has started yelling stuff like, "I raised you. You are required to call me mother." And, "Why are you so disrespectful towards me?" And things like that. She's also taken things of mine just because she says I'm disrespectful. She took my deceased grandfather's TV that he left to me because of this. Some of my family thinks I'm in a right, but some aren't, and I'm starting to feel like I'm in a wrong here. Edit. I forgot to add that I'm currently staying with my grandmother, but I still have to deal with her because not only are we neighbors, but she has to take me to school and takes my grandmother to doctor's appointments. Edit 2. For the person who asked if I talked to her about it, I've tried talking things out with her in a completely calm and passive way. But anytime I ever do, she goes straight to screaming and yelling at me, and never wants to hear me out. For an example, I remember when I was 6 or 7, a few hours after I had gotten in trouble for eating a pack of gummies that was supposed to be for school. I told her I didn't feel like she loved me, and she yelled at me for it and grounded me and never bothered to ask me why or comfort me at all. And now for some comments. You're not in a wrong. She doesn't sound like someone who earned a title. You're not in a wrong. Although your aunt raised you, she clearly has no respect for you. Even for minors, respect should be a two-way street. Just because your aunt raised you doesn't mean she gets to demand respect from you. And the same would apply if this were your biological mother. All you did was take a passive-aggressive form of disrespect towards her. If at all possible, I would suggest you try to find a way out of the household. Because now that the cat is out of the bag, things are probably going to get worse for you there. Not in a wrong. Just because someone is legally your parent doesn't mean they are your mother. I think family is a verb, not a noun. It is the actions people take and how they treat you, not just a legal or biological connection. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.